Welcome to Conversations with Black Men. We as society, how to understanding for blessings. We be good, we be good. Welcome to Conversations with Black Men, where we travel the country and talk to Black men about life, love, politics, power, you name it. And today we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with Darnell and Deveron. Let's begin this conversation, and we're gonna start making it a little light, but also keeping it real. So I don't know about y'all, but I love being a Black man, personally. And I love our swag, our energy, our creativity, how we love up on our communities, how we love up on the women in our lives, how we make something out of nothing, you name it. So for y'all, what is it specific to you that you love most about being Black men?
My skin, walking in it, being different, being able to say Darnell Hamilton is not like anybody else. That's one of the most beautiful gifts that I've been blessed with by my mom and the father I do not see. But to create this, I cannot feel anything but blessed by them.
How about you?
I would say the love, because coming from a man who's raised by lots of strong Black women, it's just the love I have for them, the love I have for my dad, and the love I have for my brother.
We have a segment called They Be Lying, okay? And this segment, why it's so important is there's a lot of talk, both just in our communities, but also online. And a lot of that turns out to be misinformation, disinformation, lies. I see it all the time. Like almost every news cycle, there's a different conspiracy theory, there's a different, and so based on your lies, based on the people that you're talking to, maybe based on what you see online, what you see in the comments, what are some particular pieces of misinformation that you're seeing that you think need to be dispelled?
I think one of the biggest things when we talk about it to our young people, the state of voting. Like for instance, we just had a local election this week and talking to some of my former students who are in their 20s, did you vote? No. Why? And the phrase that is common since we were younger, my vote doesn't matter. So like really trying to get our young people to a place to understand why locally, citywide, statewide matters nationwide. So we can start breaking that down for them to understand why it is important to take the idea of you voting for a person out of the equation. You're voting for what you stand on.
And then how about you?
Mainly about my generation, about Gen Z and how we are lazy or how we don't want to work. Coming from somebody who gets to experience like the—
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time. Like, man, young people these days, they don't understand work, they're lazy, listen, I see that in the comments, I hear that. Talk about it.
It's just, we're getting started. We just got to the threshold, and with the job market and the economy right now, it may seem like we don't want to work because we all feel that we can create and do what we love and make money, and having just a job that will not respect us just for a paycheck is not necessarily our goal. So we have self-respect in our work. That's our main thing. We're not necessarily lazy. We're just more so determined to have respect and create and be well for ourselves.
From your mouth to the world's ears, okay? Setting the record straight on Gen Z. Thank you. So this next segment is, what is the manosphere? Okay, so I don't know if you've heard about the manosphere. Okay. and the manosphere is this place that is largely online, or completely online, that professes to be a safe space for men. And as a place for men to understand how to be men, how to navigate life as men in this society. And it's fascinating because there's so much information online and so much learning is happening online. The online reality for men and women is almost completely different. And so I'm concerned with that. When men are learning lessons about how to be men outside of a community and are getting lessons from these online gurus, I'm a little concerned, a little skeptical, But I wanted to bring you all into this and see what your relationship is with this manosphere, some of the lessons that people might be learning, and how you feel about that.
The relationship with the manosphere starts first with yourself. Like, what is your relationship with yourself that has you, downloading, if you will, information from these internets and this social media? So for instance, for myself, I'll use myself as an example, looking to get back into fitness, right? So what I'm consuming on Insta or whatever online gets shot my way of, hey, this guy is doing this workout, do this in 30 days, do this in 15. I'm like, you guys are overloading me with what I know about myself already. So being able to pick and choose from whatever those packets that come my way, but then it's up to me to make that decision, right? Some of us don't have that learning to literally understand we don't need to download all that. You can, compartmentalize and focus on a whole new part of yourself. But it's all starting with you. Like, what you're choosing to download has a lot to do with where you are currently in your space. So I think that's my takeaway from the manosphere, if you will.
So what I'm hearing, it starts with you,
Yeah.
right? And be a critical thinker, right?
Absolutely.
And have the ability to process that information, choose what's valuable, right? But not necessarily just download every single thing to recreate your identity based on what you might be hearing from a fitness guru,
Right.
or from a manhood or relationship guru or whatever, right?
It's learned. It's a nurturing situation where that can be the only place you're receiving that information too. So as an educator, I have a responsibility to not allow my young people to just, that cannot be your only source. You have to have, other pieces of information that come your way.
Oh, that's a jewel right there, right? Because it's, because so many people talk about, I don't know if you see this, right? Like, I did the research, or do your own research, or everything else. One solid research practice is this idea of having multiple sources.
Right.
Right? So even if there's one source that's giving you information, you want to validate that by having a number of other sources that are also giving you similar information, right?
Supporting that.
And supporting that hypothesis, right? Okay, if you're actually going to do your research. So what I'm hearing is, okay, be a critical thinker, take the information, be able to process it, take what's good, leave behind the other things. It doesn't have to reprogram your mind. And don't just take one source, right?
Right.
Okay, you dropped a lot of jewels. Thank you for being the educator that you are. Also, I'm assuming that you have encountered the manosphere online, perhaps, and you have a understanding of what that world is. So talk to me about it.
My understanding is it's a borderline, either between toxic masculinity or helpfulness in understanding, like there's this guy on YouTube who teaches people how to tie the tie or do things, and his target audience is kids who didn't grow up with fathers, young boys who didn't grow up with fathers, or people who are on the more toxic side, like an Andrew Tate, or just or even like a Liver King telling you to do all these workouts and do this and that. It's mainly towards people who either, one, don't really understand who they are in themselves because they're either too young, or not necessarily understanding or looking within themselves, or just people who just want to see what they have and imitate it. So it's mainly kind of like what Mr. Darnell said, having external sources. Like, I see stuff that, I may find interesting in the manosphere, but I also talk to my father, I also talk to Mr. Darnell. I talk to these other male figures in my life to kind of balance it out and just understand, because you can't really do it on your own being a man. And that may be like a stigma in this culture, but it's really the group of men who help you become the man you are.
And I want to, if I can.
Yes, please.
What you just said in terms of us not being able to do it alone, that's the vulnerability piece. So what the manosphere also does is it attempts, for what I see, it feeds on our vulnerability, but it feeds on it in terms of us shying away from being open about it, which I believe is a big hindrance in a Black man's development. It's okay, man, just let it out.
a lot of jewels there, and I just want to I want to make sure that so number one, vulnerability. How is it used against us, right? So we're in a vulnerable state, and sometimes these online gurus use that against us, right? In ways where we're not taking on multiple sources, we're taking on a guru because we're vulnerable. But how can we sit in that vulnerability, right? And have that vulnerability be a strength, right? So there's two sides of the coin, right? There's a way that our vulnerability could be used against us from folks like the Liver King or whoever else selling a product, and there's a way that we've been taught that we shouldn't be vulnerable. But there's actually a way that we could sit in our vulnerability, allow ourselves to let it out, allow ourselves to be confused, be sad, allow ourselves to have questions so that we could grow. As we come to an end, briefly, are there any things that you want to share as we close?
I just graduated this past May, and taking this year.
Oh wait, hold up. I'm not gonna let that pass without
you.
us acknowledging that milestone, my brother. Listen, right here. Go on.
Taking this year to basically warm up in the college experience, taking classes at MATC to prepare for next fall, which I will be getting entry into Howard University.
Wait, hold, rewind. What'd you just say?
I'm preparing for entry next fall to Howard University.
Howard University. I am a HU Bison, my brother. You are a wise man. You made a wise choice. Okay, I knew I was in the midst of genius when you came in, and now I know why. Okay. Take it in. Take it in. Don't hold back. See, that's something that we need to learn how to do as people in general, but as Black men, is to stand in our power, stand in our glory. So brother, when somebody recognizes your genius and your power, like this world tells us to shrink. Sometimes this world tells us to kind of engage in like false humility, right? Humility isn't pretending that you're weak or that you're powerless or that you don't know. Humility is the ability to understand that there's things that you know, and there'll always be things that you don't know, right? That's what humility is.
You just said it. So for me, the words that just came out of Maurice's, correct?
Yes.
Out of his mouth. What humility is. This is for the Kevons, the Dejons, the Parises, the Deverons, every Black man whose life I've been a part of, how he just described humility. I hope you can receive that, because you really need to implant that into you so you can just walk your path and walk it with grace and know that it's all on you. Nobody else can affect you but you.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you for the jewels. Thank you for the gems. Appreciate you. With Black men, we as society is how for blessing us. Be good and be good to one another. All right.